been another busy month here of shopping and picking up on some deals here. So let's go through this haul and see what I picked up. Hey everyone, it's Mandak coming at you with another haul video here, haul video 169 to be exact. So thank you as always for tuning in here. As I mentioned, it's been a busy month here of June 2025. Finished up my second class of my master's program. And along the way here, I kind of had some trips and some stuff that I picked up along the way. For both Lego and comics. So this is probably yet again another month's worth of stuff. I think the last haul I did was kind of at the end of May. So that's kind of where we finished up at with that last haul video. So now this one we're in the month of June. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing here. Yeah, we'll go through all this stuff here. And as always, we'll go ahead and start with the comics. Alright guys, so thank you so much for watching this comic section of haul video 169. So I have I'd say a good amount of stuff to show here. Shouldn't take too long, but before I get into that, I do want to talk about what I've been reading this past month. So I do have a lot more stuff to report this time around than I did last haul video. Since the last haul video, I have basically been wrapping up my read through of my Superman collection and in anticipation for the movie that's coming out here July 11th. Definitely way more excited for it now as it gets closer. And obviously reading books of the character definitely are building my anticipation, which again is kind of why I do these read-throughs with these characters and books, just to kind of build up the hype and anticipation for the book, and also to kind of at least with Superman especially, to help build some more background that I have with the character and supporting characters and stuff. So that's another reason why I kind of do it too. But yeah, so anyways, what I've been reading so far, I have been reading a lot. So part of that is because my wife and I have been able to go down to Stone Harbor, which is our beach shore location that we go to. So with that comes a lot of free time to read and catch up on some stuff. So always fortunate for that. But yeah, so what I've been doing, reading down there, and just in the meantime, since the last haul, I read Superman Legion of Superheroes. So this was a quick 6-issue series, I believe written by Jeff Johns. I can't remember the artist, so I apologize for that. This was a really quick read, really fun. I haven't really read a lot of Jeff Johns' writing. Reading his Superman here I thought was really interesting, and I really enjoyed it. If you're a big Legion of Superheroes fan, you'll definitely enjoy this. It features them heavily in this book, obviously. And yeah, very nice, quick read. It was a recommendation a couple years back from one of my friends when we were at Second and Charles one year shopping, and he was just like, yeah, this is a nice quick read. You'll enjoy it. I'm like, okay. So always looking for those recommendations there. So that was really fun. The next book I read here was Superman Kryptonite, which I believe I picked up 2 years ago at one of the Philly cons. This is written by Darwin Cook, art by Tim Sale. Really, really good. Kind of the first discovery of kryptonite and how it's used against Superman. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, Tim Sale art is always great, and then Darwin Cook writing. I do like his art too, so I kind of wish it was him drawing and writing. But obviously his writing's just as good as his drawing, in my opinion, his art. So yeah, that was a really fun, quick read. I think that was 6 issues too. So both of these are very quick, skinny trade reads, but really both enjoyable. Really glad to have them in my collection. The next book I read here was Superman: The World of Krypton. So I think I did talk about this book a couple of haul videos ago. I think I actually picked it up here in Lebanon at the AA, or the A Comics, AA Comics store that's over here. But yeah, this is one of those World of books that John Byrne wrote back in the 80s during his, I think it was either after or during his run of Superman, Man of Steel. So, you know, obviously, you know, he kind of, like, in the beginning of his run, he kind of establishes a little bit of the background of Superman and Krypton. So they do include, like, the first, I would say, like 8 or 10 pages of the first issue of John Byrne's run in this book, kind of just as like a context setter. But yeah, so basically the main structure of this book is a 4-issue miniseries, kind of establishing the lore of Krypton. And I will say it is very similar to what we saw in Man of Steel, the movie, although not the exact same thing. Like, basically, the Kryptonians like create clones of themselves. So like, if as they start to die or get sick, they can basically replace themselves. And the whole controversy with this story is that one of the clones, one of his one of the Kryptonians' moms used her clone to create her son's love interest. So it's like this Oedipal complex type of like story, which kind of creeps me out a little bit. I feel like it was a little weird that they went that way, but nonetheless, it's a pretty interesting story. You know, and then at the last issue, we get Superman kind of recapping and talking about it from his perspective. And then the rest of the trade is a lot of like backup stories from, like, I want to say the 70s maybe, or like the early 80s possibly, of just kind of these stories that were fillers in, I'm guessing, Superman issues back then. And they were all kind of like eight page, like, you know, little backup fillers that kind of explain different like stories. And one of them I thought was kind of weird, was kind of explains the name of the planet Krypton. Like, it was named after two, like a couple who fell in love, and that's how they named, like, one was named Kryp and the other one was Ton or something, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll just call our planet Krypton. And I'm like, so like there's things like that where it's like, it kind of shows it's a little dated, but nonetheless, I thought it was pretty amusing to read through there. And to be honest, there's a lot of like notable writers who actually filled in some of those backups, like Denny O'Neil. I want to say Marv Wolfman did one of them, or multiple. So, you know, it's pretty good writing, you know, so there's that. So once I finished up that, I also I officially got into the Rebirth era of Superman. So I've read up to I'm now currently reading volume 4, but I read volume 1, Son of Superman. So, you know, this kind of establishes, what's his name? John Kent as Clark Kent's son. So, you know, we kind of get a recap of what happens in Rebirth, number 1, or what the Rebirth one-shot, right? And it kind of sets the new status quo for Superman, you know, living in, I want to say, Hamilton County, 300 miles away from Metropolis. He's a farmer with Lois as his wife and John as his son. And then you have Crypto as his dog, and, you know, other stuff there. So I like it. You know, I the first volume was really great. I really enjoyed kind of the world building and setting the stage for Superman and his son. The second volume was called Trials of the Super Son. So this is really cool because we start to get team ups with Batman and Damian. So Damian and John get a lot of time to kind of really build their relationship. And turns out that there's also a Rebirth series called Super Sons that I need to eventually get, because there's a couple issues of Superman Rebirth that are in there that I need to read. So I'll probably be ordering that at some point here. But yeah, I really want to read. I kind of want to see if I can find those trades. I did see them at a Second and Charles I went to earlier this week, and I didn't pick them up. But um, maybe I'll see if I can find them at some other point. It's not a huge priority for me, but I really like that dynamic between the two of them, and obviously Batman and Superman. Their dynamic goes way back, and I always enjoy reading books with the two of them together. The third volume was Multiplicity. So this is kind of getting into this volume. I didn't really care too much for. I just had a lot of like different worlds of Superman and different like Justice League era, like different alternate reality Justice Leagues and stuff like that. So a lot of that kind of went over my head. Like I guess I really couldn't appreciate a lot of it because I don't really know who these like different worlds heroes are, right? It's not like I look at that, I'm like, oh, that's like so and so, right? So that was it was still really good, right? I love Pierre Tomasi's writing, and Patrick Gleason's art is amazing, right? But just kind of I felt like it kind of flew over my head a little bit. Next thing I read was Superman Reborn. So I actually read that yesterday on the beach. So really got to enjoy that. It basically is a like alternate reality, like Mixixpidalic is, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I hope I didn't butcher it. Mixixpidalic, I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. It's such a hard name to pronounce, but anyway, he's one of the villains that Superman has had for God knows how long. He's like this little like, I kind of like when I think of him, I kind of think of Impossible Man from Fantastic Four, because like he just shows up. He's like this annoying ass like thing, and then he goes away, and they both can transform into all these different people. And I won't spoil it, but that's kind of the premise of the whole storyline. So yeah, and like I said, I'm on volume 4 right now of Superman Rebirth. I'm currently staring at the last other 3 trades in that collection I have to read. So yeah, assuming I can keep up my current reading pace here, I should be done with Superman well before the movie on July 11th. So nice that I got that done. Segueing into Fantastic Four for a second, I definitely will not be able to get that run done. So since the last haul video, I did finish Counter Earth Must Die Epic Collection, and as I mentioned on my last haul video, I did read that one completely virtually. So I basically just downloaded the issues onto my Marvel Unlimited app and just read them that way. And then now I am currently reading the Fantastic Four No More. That is such a hard name to pronounce for that epic collection. But this epic collection, again, I'm also reading virtually. I could pick this up, but again, figured I'd save $25 of my money and just read Marvel Limited, which is the whole reason why I bought it, was to save money on purchasing physical media. But yeah, currently reading, I think I've read 3 or 4 issues of that epic collection. And this epic collection is the last one before we get into the John Byrne Fantastic Four run. So I'm really hyped for that. I'm really trying to get through this epic collection content here, hopefully this week, so that way I can maybe start Fantastic Four by Byrne by July. So that way I'll be reading it when the movie comes out, which I think would be great because kind of reminds me of my Thor run. Like I was reading Walter Simonson's Thor. I was at that point of my read through when I went to go see Thor Ragnarok. Oh no, not Thor Ragnarok. Thor Love and Thunder. So, I always love that timing. And like I said, I do this because it just makes me, kind of helps keep me motivated to read, to continue through this giant read through. So, but yeah, and one other thing I will say about Fantastic Four is I was looking down the mapping of everything else I have left, and I'm pretty sure that either I already have the epic in physical format, or there's mapping for epics that I have not purchased that will basically take me through the entirety of the rest of Fantastic Four. So that's my plan. I don't plan on skipping anything to go back to. like I did with Thor and Cap, because there's one Cap era of issues I have yet to read, and same thing with Thor. Like there's one little gap that I have yet to go back to and read. But with Fantastic Four, I'm just gonna keep moving through it. Um, I don't know when I'll be finished with it. I'm really hoping I can finish this by the end of this year, because that will basically have been taking me a year to read all of Fantastic Four. Obviously, that's not the only thing I've been reading. But yeah, that's my goal. So I saw that and I'm like, okay, I'm nearly halfway there. I'm on like issue 192 right now, or 90, something like that, 193 or something. So I'm getting there slowly but surely. So yeah, so 14-minute what I've been reading aside, we'll go ahead and get into this haul. So as I said yesterday, my wife and I made a quick day trip down to Stone Harbor, and you know, one of the things we like to do too is go to Cape May, since it's around there. And there's this one shop that kind of sells all these like metal signs, like basically the signs you see here, but like in like sheet metal format. They're like $10. I have a bunch of them. I used to hang them up in my old apartments and stuff like that. But this year I was like, you know what, let me go there, see if I can find some DC ones to put with my Marvel ones, because I'm no longer just a Marvel fan. I'm also a DC fan now. So sure enough, they had a bunch of options for this character, but this was the one I really liked the most. So this is the one I ended up picking up, and that is a Batman metal sign here. So this one really is nice. This kind of has like this, I want to say it's either 70s or 80s. I don't know the exact artist on this. But this one really looks the nicest to me. So that's why I picked this up. So like I said, I'm just going to probably put this in my closet here where I store the rest of my metal signs. And it'll be a nice addition to the collection here. So there's that. All right. So this first chunk of books here was all from Second and Charles down in Newark, Delaware. So earlier this past week, I went down to Newark, Delaware for work. One of our plants is actually in Newark, Delaware. So I spent a couple days there doing some work. For anyone who's not familiar, I do environmental health and safety work for my company. So I travel to plants a lot and help them with their compliance and stuff like that. But yeah, while I was down there, obviously I knew about Christiana Mall and you know, Second and Charles down there. So definitely a couple days after work here, I went there and picked up some stuff. So funny story, I went there the first day after work to look at the manga, because as you guys know, I am trying to complete my collection of My Hero Academia so I can start reading that series. And walk in, I see a couple of shoppers, you know, by the M section of the manga. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just give them their space. I'll let them look at what they want to look at, and I'll come back, right? I have plenty of other stuff to look at and look through before I circle back to that. So 10, 15 minutes go by. I take another peek over. I see they're still over there. And yeah, 35, 40 minutes later, they're still there. And they actually got to a point where they camped out and basically sat on the floor right by where I wanted to look at and basically started reading through books. Now, I won't spend too much time on this, but I was a little bit peeved by that. Like, you know, and I'm pretty sure if a store employee saw that, they probably wouldn't be too appreciative of that either. You know, like, the bookstores are not libraries, right? So you really shouldn't be like reading the stuff that you're trying to hopefully try to sell to people. But that's just me. So me being the introverted, you know, non-confrontational person I am, I basically took whatever I had in my hand and checked out, and then told myself I was going to come back the next day. And sure enough, that's what I did. And I found this stack of stuff here. So later on in the haul, I'll show you what I got on the first day. But for this haul here, this is what I picked up. So first off, got volume 34 of My Hero Academia. So this fills in the one gap I've had up through volume 38. So now all I have left to collect is 39 through 41, which I will most surely get at some point here. Since they are the newest volumes, they're definitely going to be more expensive. So might wait a little bit, try and get them on like a sale or something at some point. But yeah, really good to get this. I can take this off of my Amazon wish list right now. Another thing I found, which it's kind of funny, because I was talking about how much I have worked on my Superman read through and how I'm almost done. Well, I'll throw one more book onto the pile, and that is Superman, Batman, Volume 3 here. So obviously this is not Ed McGuinness, and I can't remember who else. Jeff Loeb. I think Jeff Loeb was the writer, and Ed McGuinness is the artist. So obviously that is not this team. They have already departed the book, but this is still the same series. So wanted to pick this up. This was a pretty good deal. I mean, $9 for this volume, I think, is a pretty fair price. This collects issues 27 through 36, as well as Superman Batman Annual number 1. So like I said, really enjoyed that series with Batman and Superman teaming up, as I mentioned earlier. So really going to be looking forward to reading this. And I'm going to sneeze real quick. Every time I have a haul video, I sneeze. Okay, I am back. But yeah, so there's that. So like I said, really excited to read this, and we'll give this a chance. This probably will get pushed up on my list a lot sooner than I think. So my plan is probably after I finish Rebirth, go back and read this, and then I will be done for now with my Superman read through. So there's that. Let me just start making a pile down here. And then the next group of books here I got was a series that I had the omnibus of this saved on like a couple of like websites to purchase, and I just never pulled the trigger on it just because I thought it was a little overpriced, and I'm like, I don't really feel like I need to buy that right now for that price. So sure enough, I waited, and I found the entire series in trade for, I would say, half of what I would have spent for the omnibus. So, for me, especially with this character, I'm like, I don't really need to have the omnibus of it. And that series is Animal Man by Jeff Lemire. So as you guys know, if you've watched a lot of my haul videos, you'll know that I'm a huge Jeff Lemire fan. I've read nearly all of his independent work, most of his DC stuff, most of his Marvel stuff. Like, there's not a lot of Jeff Lemire content I have not read from him. So really wanted to get this and read this through. So I bought all 5 volumes of his Animal Man series, and this is pretty much the only Animal Man stuff that I will care to read, aside from what I already purchased with Grant Morrison. So at some point when I have time to do an Animal Man read through, I'll do Grant Morrison, and then obviously this, because this is part of the New 52 era of books. So this is volume 1, and I'll just flip through some of these here. And like I said, I don't have any contacts with Animal Man, so you'll have to just forgive my ignorance there. Here's volume 2. All right. Here's volume 3. So really nice here to see this. This one also has some issues of Swamp Thing. I think there was this like Rot World was like this like crossover with Animal Man and Swamp Thing. So really cool to see that one. That one looks like it's going to be an interesting read there. Volume 4, Splinter Species. This collects, I probably should have been saying what they collect, but this one collects issues 20 through 23 as well as annual number 2. So that's really nice to get that. And then here's the last volume, Evolve or Die. This collects, I don't know, because it is covered up by the sticker. But yeah, regardless though, this is the conclusion of the series. So, if you're looking to read this for cheap, definitely worth I mean, like I said, it looks like somebody just traded back all the trades, and I was able to get it for like 30-35 bucks. So I think that's a pretty good deal in my opinion. So can't argue with that. But yeah, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go blow my nose, and then we will continue on with the haul. Okay. Okay, I am back. So yeah, so as I said, I finished up the Animal Man show through here, so blew my nose. So we're all good. Let me continue on here. Next two books here I actually picked up from Book Outlet One, or Book Outlet, the website. So that's another place I've told you guys about multiple times. Definitely worth checking. I got one book here that I really wanted to get, but didn't want to pay the price that it was going for online. So sure enough, waited, and I got it for a really good deal at Book Outlet One. But this first book is not that. But I still I still really wanted this book, and that is Volume 8 of the New Republic for the Star Wars Epic Collection line. So this is one of those, I definitely got it for cheaper than what I would have paid for elsewhere. So this collects Star Wars Invasion numbers 0 through 5, Star Wars Invasion Rescues numbers 1 through 6, Star Wars Invasion Revelations numbers 1 through 5, Star Wars Handbook number 2, Crimson Empire, and material from Star Wars Tales numbers 18 through 19 and 21. So, you know, as I mentioned before, I know that I am, you know, I have Marvel Unlimited, but for stuff like this, where there's so much like material in these volumes, I rather prefer to have the epics, just because the numbering and the alignment of where everything is at kind of helps me keep track of where things need to go. That being said, this volume is pretty straightforward, but nonetheless, you know, I really like to have these epic collections. They're nice volumes to have and just to read through. So don't know too much about what's in here, but again, really excited to have this. And yeah, I think I'll have to see about next year, because next year we have Avengers, Doomsday. I know that that Star Wars movie's coming out, so maybe that will be a good opportunity for me to start reading through some of these epics. I've already read a couple of them. I've read the newspaper strips ones and the Infinities epic collection. So I'll probably read the rest of them probably when the next Star Wars movie starts to come out. So that's hopefully soon there with that Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So really hyped for that. Next epic here I bought was one that I really needed for my Iron Man collection, and that is the Age of Innocence epic collection. So this is the end. This is the last volume of Iron Man for volume 1. This collects issues 325 through 332 of Iron Man, War Machine 23, Avengers Time Slide, Avengers numbers 395 through 396, Age of Innocence, The Rebirth of Iron Man, Onslaught, Marvel Universe, and Iron Man the Legend. So I think the reason why I bought this was because there's one issue in here that is not available on Marvel Unlimited. And I want to say it's Age of Innocence, The Rebirth of Iron Man, or Iron Man the Legend. One of those two is not available in Marvel Unlimited. So that's the reason why I bought this. You know, I really wanted to have this completed, and it feels very nice now to have this last volume in my hand, because kind of, you know, we're getting to the point now where almost all of these volume 1s are collected. I mean, I think for Iron Man, like, we still don't have, unless I have not been keeping up with solicits recently, but unless it's already been released, we have not seen an epic collection yet for like the Obadiah Stane Ironmonger era of Iron Man. There's this really out of print Marvel Premiere Classic for it, but other than that, I don't think we've seen an epic of it yet, which I hope we do, because that's one of my favorite eras of Iron Man in my opinion, and it would be really nice to have with my collection. But for right now, this is really great. You can see Team Tony kind of on the backside here, so not the best material, but you know, I have to read and find out and say it for myself, right? I can't be that type of fan that says it sucks and never read it, so I need to confirm it sucks. All right, last book here. This was a book that I bought, like I said, that first day I was at Second and Charles, and that is X-Men Grand Design Volume 3 by Ed Piskor. So again, rest in peace to him. He passed away last year from suicide, unfortunately. Very sad story there. But really wanted to pick up his third and final volume here of X-Men Grand Design Extinction. I have the first two. I actually picked up, I think, the first volume at that same Second and Charles. And then the second volume, I think, of this, I picked up at, I ordered through Book Outlet One. So, yeah, really cool to get this, and really wanted to read this in this format. That's why I bought these, because these treasury editions are just really nice to have. They're not the easiest to hold and read, but I love the large format, and you know, this art is just really cool. It's just like the old-fashioned type of artwork, and the page is looking all weathered. It just harkens back to, you know, a period of time that you know, you think about when you open up old issues that you buy. This is kind of how they look a little bit. So yeah, really excited to read this, and we'll see how this goes. But yeah, 30 minutes later, that is my comic haul. So thank you guys so much for watching that, and let's go ahead and get into the comic, or the Lego section. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this part of the haul with the Lego. So as I mentioned, I did go to the Christiana Mall when I was in Newark, Delaware for work. And naturally, I had to go to the Lego store in there just to check out, you know, some new releases. Obviously, I'm a little early for the July releases, so obviously didn't see any of that stuff there. But picked up one thing, and then also I found this at the cash register, which I thought was really cool. And it is a lightsaber pen, built in the same exact mold as like a lightsaber from Lego Star Wars. So as someone like myself has been into this since I was a little kid, I really appreciate the fact that this lightsaber looks like the lightsaber hilt that like the Lego sets come with. And then it basically comes apart like this. You know, you just, oh, that's the ink. You just open it like that. You separate the blade and the hilt. So this is pretty cool. You just have like a little hilt there. But yeah, this writes in purple. They have different colors. So if you're at a Lego store and you're looking to get one, they have green and red, and this one and purple. I didn't see any blue, but they may or may not have that too. But this is such a cool little like piece to have, and I'm definitely gonna put this downstairs in like my little Lego collection and keep this as a pen if I need it for anything. But really, really fun. I really love the fact that the lightsaber hilt looks exactly like the piece that they use in the sets. So really fun little Easter egg there. While I was at the Lego store, I picked up one set, and that is the Luke Skywalker pilot brickhead. So nothing too crazy exciting going on here, but really excited to put this, once I build it, with my Luke Skywalker pilot helmet set. So that will be some nice synergy there. But yeah, this is the one brickhead to come out by itself this year. We obviously have the Revenge of the Sith brickhead collection, which I did see that. I am gonna hopefully wait it out a little bit and maybe get it for a nice sale and pick up two of them, one to keep sealed. But yeah, for right now, got this for $10, so nothing too crazy going on there. This next set I picked up when I was in Stone Harbor with my wife, because the first time we went down there, we got rained out a little bit, so we went to a Walmart before we went and saw a movie. And sure enough, I was walking through the clearance section of Lego and found this set for $33. Our original price on this was $55, so that's a pretty insane discount. That is 40% off, so that's really crazy. And that is the Ahsoka Tano's Duel and Peridia. So yeah, I don't have a copy of this set, and for good reason. This set is really bad, and the price was even more egregious. This is basically just a platform with a bunch of minifigures. This honestly reminds me of that Obi-Wan Kenobi set we got back in 2022 with like just that slab of rocks and like Vader and Obi-Wan fighting. It has the same vibe. It's just very not appealing. I think part of this also is the fact that like the show was really not that memorable and well received either. So, and you know, there's just some things that are disappointing with this, like the Night Trooper not being, you know, Commander Enoch. You know, just little things like that. Just, you know, I just personally don't vibe too well with this. But that being said, this is still going to be a good investment set, so I'll definitely keep this in my investment, you know, stockpile here, and maybe hopefully one day sell this for way more than I paid it for. But for right now, like I said, that's why I picked this up. I don't intend to build this. I just don't see much point in building this just to get the minifigures. So, you know, we'll just put it this way. It's more expensive if I keep this sealed than open it, build it, and keep the minifigure separate. So I'll just do that and keep this sealed for my collection. But nice, didn't have to pick that up for too much. Next one here, I got this at Target. So as I said before, we're still currently boycotting Target. We don't shop there at all anymore, really. This I bought because it was on another crazy clearance sale. So got this for a pretty cheap price, and it's crazy because this set came out just this year, I believe. And that is the Lego 76443 Hagrid and Harry's Motorcycle Ride. So this one I really like. I like the fact that it's, you know, Hagrid and Harry in the car. This is clearly, I think, derived from Deathly Hallows Part 1, where Harry is flying away, and unfortunately Hedwig dies because he's blasted out of the sky by the Death Eaters. I'm so sad that they include him in here because it just makes me sad to think about what happens to him. But nonetheless, really cool build. I'm really excited to get this a build at some point. And I really hope that this piece here with Harry is a printed piece. That's the only part of this that kind of feels a little weird to me, is like the facial decisions of these characters. Like, I think with Hagrid it makes more sense because he has like the goggles, right? But with Harry, with like that printed, like the glasses with no pupils or anything, it just looks a little weird. But yeah, that's just me. So we'll give this a build at some point, and I need to make some more room for my Harry Potter collection because I definitely have way more than I can probably fit under one thing there. All right. Next thing I got here was actually from a friend of ours who gave us this because, you know, we had a little housewarming event, and we got some gifts together for her son, and she just wanted to pay us back with something just to kind of like thank us for letting him have all the toys that we bought him and stuff like that. So definitely really thoughtful and really appreciative of her. So this was actually gifted to my wife, but as you guys may or may not be aware, my wife isn't too much into building Lego. So she kind of gave it to me. I was like, hey, if you want to build this, you know, there you go. But that is the Elphaba and Glinda figures from Wicked. So my wife and I have seen Wicked a couple times in the movie theaters, and we both really love the movie. And we're both really excited for the second part coming out here in 2026, or 2025, excuse me. But yeah, this is probably the best set of all of them. The rest of them are kind of more marketed towards little kids. But this one has like two little figures of Elphaba and Glinda, and then, you know, just a little stand with them showing Oz in the background. So really creative set, really like this. Nice little accessories and such. So this will be a nice little fun build. We'll have to find a place to put this, but yeah, really thankful. And it's funny because this set, I believe, is retiring this year. So really good to get this right now before it goes away forever. And it's funny, on the drive home, my wife and I were talking about it because I was curious if they're going to make more sets for the second part. And I've heard rumors that they've approved 2 18+ sets for Wicked. My wife and I really hope one of them is like an art set of like the original. I'll show it here maybe. I'll see if I can show it here if I remember to put the picture here. But we both wanted to be like that original artwork of like Glinda from like the Broadway series, like Glinda like whispering into Elphaba's ear, and like Elphaba like with her face down with her like hat and stuff. So if that comes out, I will definitely be picking that up. I think my wife would definitely want to build that with me. So yeah, I really hope that's one of them. I was looking at some of the price points that have been rumored for it, and one of them is the same price point as what we have been seeing for the art sets, which is like $120. So I'm really hopeful that's what it is. And I'm really hopeful it's based off of the original like Broadway play, which I know in and of itself is a long shot because they're probably going to do something related to the movies. But yeah, that's my hope. So anyways, a little speculation segment aside, that is my Lego section. So thank you for watching, and let's go ahead and get into the outro for this video. All right, guys. So thank you so much for watching haul video 169. So again, you know, really, as I hit the stand, really appreciate you guys watching this. And as always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you guys on the flip side. Peace.